see what we got going on here. Put that over there in case we need it. All right. Okay. Only old people will know what I'm singing there. Okay, and just we can close that now. Sharing social media. And we'll go to the other one and post it there too. Paste. There we go. Hi, John. I imagine it's going to take a while for people to show up because I haven't been on the air in 3 weeks, so might be a little slow in getting people to actually show up. Yes, it has AKL Max. Completely out of my control, I might add. Yeah, that's too bright. There we go. That's a little better. That's a little better, but then that makes my face look all red. Well, crap. There's just no winning for losing here, is there? Maybe if I just... can I do that and then... It makes it a little better. About right there. Yeah, that ought to do. That ought to do. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. I'm having some neighbor trouble. The neighbor directly to my left, rents, doesn't own. And I haven't said anything because I'm the kind of live and let live kind of neighbor, but he's been running a business out of his home, an air conditioning business, that he has apparently now expanded to 2 trucks instead of 1. Meanwhile, he has at least 2 sons living over there that both think that they are car modders. And so both of them drive these old, dilapidated, slightly horribly modified cars, a Dodge Charger and a Mustang, that they've direct lined. So both of them sound like go-karts when they pull out, or that their catalytic converter is about to explode out their ass. And all holiday long, they've had 8 cars parked in front of their house, 4 in the driveway, and then 3 in front of their house, blocking their own driveway. And then he decided to park one of his trucks in front of my house, which was partially blocking my driveway, making it hard for 8th to back out to go to work and or school, and making it impossible for the garbage service that I pay for every month to pick up my trash. So I had to file a complaint with the HOA, which made me feel like a real piece of crap because I hate the HOA. I hate dealing with them. I hate paying for it. But I had to. Because dude is just taking advantage of us and my good nature. I haven't said, I walk out in my backyard and the entire back area, my backyard, his backyard, the neighbor to the right of me, reeks of pot because his sons sit out on the back porch and smoke wicked strength weed all night. Have I said anything? No. when they've made the front of their house look like Sanford and Son. Have I said anything? No. But now they're encroaching across my property line, and I ain't happy about it. I let it go for a while thinking, well, maybe they just have family over for the holidays, and when some of those cars clear out, he'll move the truck back. Nope. Nope. He moved it for one day, and then he put it right back where it was. So if the HOA don't do something about it, you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start putting my trash in the back of his truck. If he's going to make it to where I can't get my trash picked up, he can take it to the dump for me instead. And if that don't sway him, I'll call the cops and let them know how he's blocking the only fire hydrant on the cul-de-sac. And then they'll come pick it up and impound it. And we'll see how many air conditioners he fixes then. I ain't dealing with this crap. I'm not putting up with it. He has been, treading water within the sea of my good graces for several weeks now. Really, for almost 2 years. With because he moved in right around the same time we did. And it's weird, too, because at one point, for about 3 weeks, there was no cars parked there. The dogs were gone. No activity. It was like we thought they had moved out. We thought their lease had been up and they moved out. But no, they just disappeared from their house for like 3 weeks. It's really weird. It's very weird. And they can't park their cars in their garage because they have their garage full of weightlifting equipment. Anyway, I'll get it handled one way or the other. How's my health? Well, I always end up gaining weight over the holidays because I eat too much, and I especially eat stuff that, as a type 2 diabetic, I ain't supposed to be eating anyway. So I've got some additional pounds to lose now. That'll be more of a battle, but we'll get there. But we'll start the show in a couple of minutes here. Yeah, I know, and I've never had a crossword with him. The only time I got on to him was, and this should have been a hint to me, during Halloween when I was doing my haunted garage thing. Dude's girlfriend pulls up, parks in front of their driveway, and partially blocks mine, making it harder for the kids to come up my driveway. And so I got on my megaphone and I started yelling at them every time they'd come out in and out from the car. Hey, you need to move your car. You're making it hard for the kids to come up. They didn't do shit. They ignored me, acted like I wasn't there. Well, they're not going to ignore me now. Not this time. I'll give the HOA to the end of the week to do something about it, and if the HOA don't do anything, I'll call the cops and tell them they're blocking the fire hydrant. And that'll be that. Not putting up with that kind of stuff. Anyway, it is 6 o'clock, Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, and this is the 7th Cast. As always, I am your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th. 8th is up there doing something or other. I don't really know. I haven't seen him all day. Happens like that. Anyway, how's it been going for everybody else? I tell you what, I put my brother got me Morrowind and Sniper Elite for my 360 for Christmas. I didn't recall Morrowind being released for 360. I remember it being released for OG Xbox, and 360 could play it via backwards compatible. Is that what you meant? Cops in the fire department give it Give it the Tyson 2 punch. It's going busy AF. I put all that work into creating those 12 videos, and I'm very proud of them. I'm very happy with them. I liked the writing. I felt the jokes were good. I felt the memes were good. Viewership not so good. And considering the other DBTSs I was posting were getting 1,000 views or more, that really surprised me. I thought they would at least get, 700 to 1,000 views a piece, and that didn't happen. And I really believe it's because the algorithm automatically buries anything that I do that's holiday related, stretching all the way back to when I did the first 7th Halloween 10 years ago, and it bombed. Oh, Oblivion. Okay. I think that's what it is. I think because 7th Halloween did so bad, and every other time I've done a 7th Halloween has done so bad, that because these are Christmas related, the algorithm buried them. That's what I think happened. So here's these 12 brand new reviews, one posted each day, barely got watched. But regardless, it's content for people to watch, so maybe they'll be found eventually. I kind of doubt it, but, it is what it is. But I kind of exhausted myself doing those. And so once I was done with them, I was like, yay! Now I'm just going to spend the rest of my holiday vacation playing games that I want to play. What happened instead was me randomly and repeatedly falling asleep several times a day. I have slept through most of my vacation. Not gotten to do anything that I wanted to do because I just kept falling asleep instead of actually playing the games that I wanted to play or watching the movies that I wanted to watch. I have no idea what triggered this unless it's because of the fact that I'm type 2 and during the holidays I was eating like a nasty pig. And so my system was having to do overtime to flush all the sugar out of my system. Maybe that's what it was. All I know is that, once I finished making those reviews, I just kept, I'd sit down, prop my feet up, I'd start to boot the game up. 2 hours later, I'd wake up. And it just kept happening. Over and over. And tomorrow is the last day of my vacation. I thought about canceling the show so that I could spend this last day playing some games. But I ended up not doing that because I realized that would make a month straight of me not putting on the show. And I wasn't going to have that. That's just a bridge too far. Because, now I have members who are paying for me to make content. Not that many, but I appreciate the ones I do have. And you can see them here, or at least some of them in the comments here. And I'm just, I can't do that. I've got to have some stuff. And I meant to have videos done this week, but again, I slept through most of the week. I've got a review of AVG and 8-bit coming, and I have a video comparing the 3 most recent Ninja game reboots that have been made. So I'm comparing Shinobi, the new Ninja Gaiden, and the remake of Shadow of the Ninja. I don't know if y'all even knew there was a remake of Shadow of the Ninja, but there is. And so I've got a video coming that compares the 3. And of course, more reviews will come. I lucked into a copy of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. I haven't gotten to play any of it yet because, again, fell asleep. But you can imagine what kind of review that's going to be. Did you play the 2D Terminator game? I have the 2D Terminator game. It's one of the ones that I've pre-ordered, Haven't gotten to play it yet because falling asleep. Oh, what I got for Christmas? Well, uh, the money that would have gone towards going to Retropalooza went to purchasing some games to make video game reviews for you guys, negative ones, because DBTS does better than BTS. So I spent some of that money on bad games for me to play through and review, including Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Um, and also the copies of Grinch and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and some of the other games that were in the 12 Shits of Christmas series were bought with the money that you guys had initially donated for me to go to Retropalooza. I used it to make all those videos for you instead. What was left over, I put towards future bad games to buy. I just have to wait to see what bad is coming. So I have like a little pocket of money put aside for purchasing future bad games. As far as Christmas goes, I got Eighth a couple of video games that he wanted and a couple of movies he wanted. He wanted the rest of the American Godzilla movies on 4K. He had half of them. I got him the other half. And I got him Kronos. And I got him Hell Is Us. Got them both used off Gamefly. And he got me a Marvel Legends Danny Ketch Ghost Rider action figure that comes with his bike and everything. I haven't gotten a place to put it because I haven't decided whether I want to leave it in the box or take it out of the box. So I'm still trying to figure out how I want to display it. And then he got me Gremlins on 4K. And he got me the Ninja Trilogy on 4K. If you're not familiar with the Ninja Trilogy, they're the first ninja movies that really hit the United States. They were made by Canon, or what was back then was known as Golden Globus and became Canon. So it's Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, and Ninja 3 The Domination in a 4K box set. I grew up watching those movies. I loved them to death, especially Enter the Ninja. That one was my favorite out of the whole bunch because some of it is just hilarious, and the gore is hilarious. It's a fun movie. If you've never seen it, you need to check it out. It's great. Very, very 80s. Absolutely 80s as hell. But that's everything that I got for Christmas. My buddy Brian got me something for Christmas, and I got him something for Christmas that he's been wanting. But he didn't get to make it over here because he either caught RSV or he caught the coof. He caught something and was making him too sick to come over here. And knowing how I'm already immunocompromised, he wasn't going to run the risk of me catching it from him, so he has kept his distance. So his Christmas present is still sitting on the shelf back there, waiting for him to feel safe enough to come over here and drop it off. I have no idea what he got me. Let's see here. With that said, let's get caught up. Let's see here. Wow. Got a lot to catch up with. Let's see. Hi, Matthew Walls. Oh, Oblivion. Yeah, that makes sense. I have the Oblivion remake on PS5. I was going to play that on my Christmas break. That didn't happen. The one game that I did get to play some was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I'm like right at the last chapter. I've almost beat it. And then I started falling asleep and I never did finish it. I intend to finish it tomorrow, and then I will start capturing footage for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. One of these days you'll be bombarded with 70 comments. Just set up emulators on my Series X. I think the views were from just massive inactivity plus holidays. My buddies who upload YouTube videos also saw low numbers. Love the Star Wars Outlaws review. Thank you. Everyone is traveling and visiting family. Barely got time to get on their phone. Well, I don't blame you. I would have been exhausted if I did half of what you did. I don't think I've ever done full on. When I did 7th the Ween, that was 31 videos in a row, once a day. But what those were just me sitting and playing a spooky game for a certain amount of time and then commenting on it live as I played it. It wasn't a full-on review. With this, I did like 12 reviews back to back to back. It was exhausting. I can only imagine how much work that would have taken if I was still doing skits in my reviews. Good Lord. That's why 8th stopped appearing on camera, because he got sick of helping me with skits. That's called getting old. Oh, thanks. I had to hibernate. It can be exhausting even not realizing it after the adrenaline of creating content is gone. Poof, crash. Hi, Ace of Horns. Hello, my favorite numbered friend. No one's ever put it that way before, but I appreciate it. Play games while sleeping. Problem solved. Hi, Blaze. I'm doing all right. Ace of Horns. I recently downloaded Red Dead Redemption on my phone for free through Netflix. It runs incredibly well on my Galaxy S26 Ultra. Hopefully, smartphones get more love for mobile gaming. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I have no use for mobile gaming because I don't go anywhere. So if I want to play a game, I just turn on my PS5 and play it. I have multiple handhelds, including one that has thousands of ROMs on it that can play everything up through the PS1. Never gets turned on because I never go anywhere. The last person to play it, the last person to play it was Billy's kid. It hasn't been turned on since. That was 2023. Did you enjoy New Year's? And if so, do you think it'll be a good year? And what are your predictions? It's hard to predict what, do you mean gaming-wise or in general? Because either one is hard because of the economy and whatnot. And I don't want to get into politics to talk about, things that could be coming that would affect the economy. I would like to get promoted again this year so that I could better pay down a few things and pay for a few things. Still a couple of things in the game room that are missing that I want taken care of, like a jukebox. I need a new sound system for the TV. I've already got a receiver, but I don't have a speaker system for the receiver. I need to replace the TV itself. It'll be hitting 10 years old this year. So, got some money that needs to be spent in here. Not a tremendous amount in the greater scheme of things, but it's still holding things back from being, in my mind, complete. Need a couple of more sets of shelves for the tabletop board gaming room, even though, technically speaking, it's not getting used that much because 8th is working and going to college, and his friends don't come over as often as they used to. So it's not getting used as much, but it's still getting some use. So, need to buy a few more sets of shelves for that. Otherwise, what's down here is all that's missing. 8 pretty much has everything he needs. I won, I don't know if I know I didn't mention it last time because it hadn't happened yet. Every year, my company has a online Christmas party. If you're at headquarters back east, you attend it in person. But because we work from home, or work in out of one of the satellite offices nationwide, they attend via Zoom meeting. And so we had our corporate holiday party, and one of the things that they do are they put on numerous trivia contests through a website called Cahoots, I think it's called. And uh, I came in like fourth or fifth place through several of them because I wasn't really paying too close of attention. And then got to the last contest, which was the Christmas in Pop Culture trivia contest, and I swept it. I almost got it perfect, short of I missed the last three in a row. But by the time that happened, I was so far ahead of everybody else that I was able to miss three in a row and still be number one. And so what did I win? I won a brand new spiffy iPad, which I don't use Apple products and I have no use for a tablet. So I was going to reach out to them and ask them if I could just have the same amount in a gift certificate or an Amazon card or something, so I could put it towards a Switch 2 for 8th or something. But before I could do that, I happened to mention to 8th that what had just happened, what I just won, and he was like, "Well, you know that drawing tablet that you bought me in high school is starting to uh, get out of date. I could really use that iPad if you could buy me a light pen for it or a stylus pen for it. I could really use it for my drafting classes." And I was like, well, okay. And so 8th got a free iPad out of it. And 8th is kind of like me. You know, my birthday is very close to Christmas. It happens before Christmas. His birthday is very close to Christmas. It happens a month or so after Christmas. And so it makes buying for him very difficult. So I think this year, usually I get him something big for his birthday. Like last year, I bought him this $400 new record player because the one that he had was a 35-year-old vintage Techniques record player, and he was starting to have problems with it. So I bought him a new Ars Technica or whatever $400 turntable, and that was his birthday present. I'm not going to be able to spend on him like that this year. It's going to be small things like, you know, Blu-rays and stuff. Because I ain't going to have that kind of... Maybe buy him the stylus he wants for his iPad, and that's his birthday. Let's see here. Did you enjoy New Year's? We did the same thing we do every year, which is, you know, fix up some snacks, and then he goes upstairs with his snacks to watch what he wants to watch, and I go over here with my snacks to watch what I want to watch, and that's pretty much it. Don't really do anything for New Year's. Don't watch the ball drop. None of that stuff. What do you think of Steven Wilson Jr.'s music? I don't know who that is. I found a 360 triple pack on Half Price Books. Included Borderlands 2, Mafia 2, Spec Ops: The Line. We haven't had we had a Half Price books close to us when we lived down closer to Austin, but there's not a Half Price Books where we live now. There's not anything even closely resembling it. You know, I literally moved into a wide spot in the road. There's next to nothing here. There's fast food, there's Walmart, and there's a mostly dead mall. That's it. Mr. Lucky Dog Guitar Hat. Yes, because my buddy Anthony runs Lucky Dog, and so I'm giving him free advertising. Those guitars are beautiful. You know, you should go to their website and just look. They're pieces of art. You'd feel almost ashamed of playing them because they should just be in a glass case to look at instead of actually play. That's how gorgeous these guitars are. You really should go check them out. I don't get any money for that, by the way. I got the hat for free. That's it. Shokasuji is the ninja. Well, he's one of the ninjas. In the first one, he's the bad guy. In the second and third one, he's the good guy. Hey, brother, how are you? Appreciate all you do. Thanks for uploads. Thank you, Master Roshi. Appreciate it. I just downloaded a bunch of PS1 games. Man, what an incredible library. I don't download illegal ROMs, so I wouldn't. But yeah, the PS1 has a fantastic library. I don't have a tremendous amount of PS1 games. I think I have less than 100, but I have all of them installed in my Polymega right here. Gaming wise for New Year. What? I feel like I see it. Oh, what are your predictions? Uh, I think slowly we'll see some additional games pop up for Switch 2. I think that we will not be seeing a new PlayStation as soon as everyone thought we would. I think it's possibly going to be pushed to as far as 2028 to 2030. And so this generation is going to end up being more similar to the PS3 generation, which I hope will spur investment and Sony going back to doing what they were doing during the PS3 generation, which was taking risks on great first-party games. But what it sounds like is that if Naughty Dog's new game Intergalactic flops, Sony's going to be looking to shed some weight when it comes to Western studios, and they're going to be throwing their money back into Japanese studios because Japanese studios are the only ones putting out hit games anymore. I mean, Sony Santa Monica has done all right with the God of War series, but it takes them so damn long to make anything. But it's not looking good for Sony's Western studios, which is insane to think about when they have dominated for the last 2 gens. But now, because they threw so much money into live service stuff, and these studios have allowed themselves to be taken over by left-wing ideologues, we've ended up the way that we've ended up. I hate to say it, but I mean, let's be honest. Their most profitable first-party studio is a Japanese studio, and that's Polyphony Digital, because Gran Turismo makes them more money than anything else that's put out. So I can understand why Sony is starting to feel the way that they do. Piss on video games. You need to take care of your health first. Well, you know, the doctors wanting to put me on that Manjaro or whatever the hell, inject yourself in the stomach and lose a shit ton of weight medicine. They're wanting to put me on that. But I've been putting it off because, I've read some stories about it negatively affecting people's vision, and, it's $87 or something. It's like $100 for a 3-month supply through my medical company, through my medical coverage. But that's still a lot of money to spend, and I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to take the risk for my vision and just hope that I'm not one of the people that it affects that way. I just don't know. I don't know. We need you around. You don't need me around. You don't need me around. What is 8th majoring in? Audio tech, whatever. What's 8th majoring in college? Mechanical engineering with a focus on robotics. Thank you, Clean Frame. Happy New Year to you. I did see the guitars for sale. They're amazingly lovely. Can't afford with all the solar wiring bullshit to the kitchen upstairs. Yeah, well, that's the thing. You get what you pay for. Yeah, they're over $3,000. But all, it's not, there's not a whole lot of overhead there. They're a small team. They work out of a shop on Anthony's property. There's like 4 of them, 4 people putting these guitars out. So every dime you invest, you're getting it back. They're amazing guitars. And the tone is, it's some of the most perfect tone you're ever going to hear out of an electric guitar. If I could afford one, I would have one right now because he knows how much I miss my Robin medley. And even though Robin is back in business now, it would cost just as much, if not more, to have a Robin built for me than it would for Anthony to build me a guitar. And Anthony knows how much I love Robins because he was the one that introduced me to the Robin brand. He had a medley too. So I've told him if I ever have the money for him to build me a guitar, I'm going to want him to build me his version of a Robin medley. Same specs and everything, but done his way. I wish I could do it. I just don't have, $3,000 to throw at him. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. Modern audiences. Modern audiences that don't exist. They don't exist. These people don't buy games. They just like to harp about them. And then watch as the studios they convince to do it burn to the ground. Look at what's happening with BioWare. You know who BioWare consulted with? Anita Sarkeesian. And look at him now. Look at him now. Mass Effect Andromeda flopped. What was that live service piece of crap? Anthem flopped. Dragon Age Veilguard flopped. Now, Dragon Age Veilguard, I didn't have a problem with the gameplay, and it didn't have any of the kind of glitches and bugs and stuff that Mass Effect Andromeda did. And honestly, I didn't really think it was that woke, with the exception of one character, and you guys know what character I'm talking about. And I just skipped past the dialogue for that character because I'd already seen the videos. It was incredibly stupid. I didn't want to listen to that. That kind of terminology and stuff does not belong in a fantasy game, a medieval fantasy game. It shouldn't be there. And so I just skipped past all of that. And so I was able to have a moderately decent time with that game. It was not as good as Dragon Age Inquisition, but it wasn't that bad. Still, you should not have a character. For one thing, you should not redesign an entire race that's been established in 3 previous games to just look like a cosplayer dressing as one of that race. And second, there should never be a character in a medieval fantasy game sit down and say, "So I'm non-binary. You need to refer to me as they, them now." Give me a break. That'd be like doing a video game of biblical times and having people walking around referring to Jesus as trans dead. Oh, he's dead, but he identifies as alive. That's how stupid that stuff is. And that's why that's one of the reasons why you have studios taking a dump left and right. Look how many people have been laid off in the last year. And that's not all of it. I mean, a lot of it is just because people are sick of the live service crap. Look, all you game developers out there, none of you are ever going to be able to outdo Fortnite. Fortnite has now effectively become Ready Player One. That's what it's become for the kids of this generation. You're never going to get them to switch over long term to anything else. So all your Concords and your High Guards and all that, they're all going to go to shit. They might make profit for, a month and then they'll be dead. We've seen it over and over and over and over again over the past couple of years, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And that's the reason that Sony is now having the problems that they are with their Western studios, because none of that live service stuff came to fruition for them except for one game that became the biggest flop in the history of gaming. If they had printed tons of physical copies of Concord, they'd probably be getting buried right next to E.T. right now. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Absolutely, the next consoles are going to be delayed due to RAM prices. 7th, do you have a favorite brand of sunglasses? Well, these are Ray-Bans. For years and years and years, my favorite brand of sunglasses was Gargoyle. But they don't make steel rim glasses anymore. And even then, I now have to wear prescription shades. So I can only go through companies that make sunglass frames for medical lenses. And Gargoyles doesn't do that. But yeah, for years, when you saw me wearing shades in videos, I was wearing Gargoyles. Stay away from Fender. They're made in China now, and the quality is what? Well, they're not all made in China, but most of them are made in either China, Malaysia, or Mexico. They're made in multiple places now. But the last time I haven't had a Fender since 1991. I had a Fender HM Strat, which was supposed to be Fender's take on a Super Strat a la Ibanez or Jackson. But it had a thick-ass Strat body and a thick-ass Strat neck, so it didn't really play like a Super Strat. It just said HM Strat for heavy metal Strat. And I had the Blackstone model, which was basically a black guitar, and they dipped a rag's tip in gold paint, and they did this kind of number on it, so it looks like they carved it out of a piece of black rock that had gold encrusted in it. It was a pretty badass looking guitar, but it didn't play like a Super Strat at all. It just played like a regular Stratocaster that looked different. And so that's when I was like shopping for an actual Super Strat, and I was going to buy an Ibanez, and Anthony was like, before you buy an Ibanez, you need to come to this store over here on Lee Highway. They have a brand that I want you to look at, and that was Robin. And I ended up buying one. Seventh, did you notice that Grok has turned into a goon machine the past few? No, I have not noticed that. Don't really pay attention to that kind of material, clean frame, but I'm glad you've gotten enjoyment out of it. I already see Arc Raiders falling off a bit, and that game was massive at launch. Yeah. Helldivers 2 is probably the only live service game that's worked for Sony, and yeah, it's going multiplat. It's been like the one exception. We'll see what happens with Marathon, but I don't have my hopes up. But then again, I didn't play Helldivers 2 either because I just don't like that kind of material. I don't like those type of games. These play forever and spend your money. I don't go after that. I don't play the gotcha games either. It's just not for me. You know, every now and again I'll enjoy playing a co-op experience, but for the most part, I'm a solo player. You know, get off my grass or I'm going to yell at clouds. Ray-Bans are classics. I actually paid a little over $100 for vintage gargoyles like the ones Arnold wore in Terminator 1, now that you mention it. Yeah. Always buy mid to late 70s guitars unless you get a custom modern build. I was perfectly happy with my 1991 Robin Medley. And I'm perfectly happy with my Schecter Banshee, except for the fact that it's not a Robin. Did you ever buy a PS5 Pro? We have two PS5 Pros. I have one. 8th has one. Hello, 7th. Welcome to 2026. Closer to Jesus' return we are. Well, you know, you never know. Because no man will know. Arc Raiders doesn't ban cheaters. Loads of level 1 to 5 Steam accounts that have VAC bans on records. I played the Marathon Alpha and Beta as pretty much just a standard extraction shooter with an odd art style. Don't see it being successful like Arc Raiders. You're probably right. What's considered a gotcha game? Well, it's not gotcha, G-O-T-C-H-A. That's just, it's a Japanese term, a G-A-C-H-A, gotcha. And it basically has to do with random draws. You play the game for getting random draws like card draws, weapon draws, character draws. Gotcha. But yeah, there's a really popular one. It's been on PS5 pretty much since launch. Can't remember the name of it. Don't want to. One of them is something or other Star Rail. I don't remember what the other one's called. But pretty much all of them are out of either Japan or China. So Destiny Rising, think loot boxes, the modern. Yeah, it's like a modern take on loot boxes, and it has to do with like most of the time it has to do with random card draws. Loot boxes with anime titties. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I don't play those. I'm not into that kind of thing. I like, for the most part, unless it's something like Dead Island or Borderlands, I'm mostly a single player person. Like the one that I've been playing, the Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. It has an online mode where you can play it with other people. I don't do it. I've been playing single player. Now, if someone on my friends list or one of you guys said, "Hey, do you have this game?" And yeah, I have this game. Would you like to play it online with me? I can do that next Friday. Okay, let's play it. All right. They do really well in the Asian market where the vast majority of people play games on their phone. I'm not a phone player. I'm not a mobile player. I have a Switch Lite. I have a Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. I have a Nomad. I have multiple handheld systems. Don't play any of them. Because I'm always home. I don't go anywhere. The only time I ever use one is when I go to Retropalooza. And half the time, when I bring a handheld with me to Retropalooza, somebody else ends up playing it instead of me. Hi, Stevie boy. How's it going? PS5 extended life cycle. Everyone doesn't want PS6. Just make great games. Exactly. We don't need one yet. It feels like I've barely had one because they haven't been putting out much in the way of exclusives. Astrobot's been the best exclusive they've put out this year, or this generation. I want an Astrobot too. How long could it possibly take them to make one? Did you ever play that PS3 exclusive Heavenly Sword? Was it any good? Heavenly Sword was like God of War for dummies. It wasn't very good at all. It was made by Ninja Theory, the people that do the Hellblade games. It's forgettable. And the biggest problem is they never patched trophies into it. Never. What was up with that? They also made that Enslaved Journey to the West game. They made that one too. But Heavenly Sword, it's God of War knockoff with tits. That's pretty much, that's all it is. And no trophies. I mean, think about it. They never re-released it for, like, remastered for PS4 or anything. Had really bad screen tearing. Had a crappy frame rate. And the control scheme just wasn't all that great. Did you play Borderlands 4? Yes. I got it for Christmas, and I'm not a fan of the open world. Me neither. Because even once you have fast travel, it still takes you forever to get anywhere you want to go. Even if you've got a fast travel relatively close to there, you're still driving on your bike for forever to get to where you're going. So the open worldness didn't help it at all. It was a completely unnecessary ad. And the villain is better than the streamer twins from Borderlands 3 by far, but he's still just a generic ripoff of Kang the Conqueror, so it still doesn't come anywhere close to the story quality of Borderlands 2 with Handsome Jack. It just doesn't. Do you believe they need to remake The Secret of Monkey Island to a modern audience, or is the old classic left in its pine box? I think they. I don't think any game should be remade for modern audiences, because modern audiences don't exist. Because when they say modern audiences, they mean lefties who actually play video games, and that don't exist. They'll play stuff like uh, Life is Strange or Gone Home. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. They'll play Dustborn. Well, hell, they didn't even play Dustborn, did they? Dustborn flopped. Dustborn flopped bad. So, they they didn't even play a game that was tailor made towards them. And listen to them getting into an uproar because they're going back to making Laura Croft look like an actual female instead of like a 12-year-old girl. Listen to them complain about that. Oh no, Laura Croft has TNA. What shall we ever do? Nothing, because you weren't buying them when they made her more masculine. You weren't buying them. You just like to gripe and complain. I hope there's another pack-in Astrobot for the next. Well, that depends on whether they have new mechanics that need to be demoed. Sony doesn't need a showcase because they have nothing to show. All they have left coming really is Wolverine. And I guess, if they're still going to bring out that 5-hour-long Venom game, you've got Interstellar, but they're saying it's going to be 2027 at the earliest for that one. It wouldn't, and they're already talking about how they're going to have to throw crunch on their team, their developers, just to get it up to a demo version that they can play for the Sony executives, because they've missed every milestone that's been put in place for it so far. So honestly, it would not surprise me if that game gets canceled. That if Sony comes and looks at their demo and is like, and when do you say you'll have it done by? Nah. Nope. I told y'all that Druckmann was screwing up that studio. And look where we're at. Look where we're at. He had no business being put in charge of that studio. None. I liked Dante's Inferno more than Heavenly Sword. Yes, Dante's Inferno was fantastic. Wish that it had gotten a trilogy. Fantastic game. I got Ghost of Yotei. Not bad so far. Tsushima is better. But, well, there's nothing wrong with Yotei's gameplay. It's the story and the characters and the acting. That woman is a horrible actor. And nobody wanted her. Everyone wanted another game with Jin Sakai. But everything has to be a gender swap now. Fighting the Order over and over got pretty boring as well. Will 007 First Light be the first DBTS? I don't know, man. I mean, they're talking about how it doesn't make sense for modern audiences for James Bond to be a womanizer. Come on. That's just who he is. And plus, half of 007 is going to be sneaking around stealth crap, and you guys know I hate that shit. King's Quest remake didn't land. I don't think Monkey Island would. Yeah, I played like the first part of it, and I was like, no. Gaming is dying to AI data centers. Soon it will double our electric bill and take over people's jobs. Is it worth? Well, we'll see, man. We'll see if that actually happens or not. Because the AI bubble could very well burst in the stock market before we get that far. Because they can't just build a data center, because the current power grids wouldn't be able to handle it. Each data center they're building is going to have its own separate power plant to run it too. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, John's right. AAA gaming is taking a big dump, but indie gaming, indie gaming is alive and well. I mean, it's just like the first crash in '83. Well, not the first crash, but the first major crash in '83. Uh, PC gaming never died. PC gaming thrived. You could go into every bookstore and there'd be racks of computer games to buy. You know, it wasn't. You didn't have computer games stacked 3 feet high in bargain bins like you did with the 2600 and with the ColecoVision and all that. PC gaming thrived, and it was the same thing here. If console gaming crashes again, like it did in '83, it won't be the hardware itself that crashes. It'll just be all the all the big AAA studios that take a crap, and people will just start buying indie games for those systems instead. Or maybe the hardware will crash, and everyone's just going to move over to Steam and buy indie games on Steam. It's hard to predict because of what's happening with the whole RAM pricing with data centers and shit. It's hard to say. Naughty Dog hasn't. Well, I would argue that even Uncharted 4 wasn't that great because Druckmann got his fingers into it and changed it from what it was originally supposed to be. What's a video game that you'd like to see turned into a movie? Well, for one thing, I want the Sly Cooper movie that got canceled. For one thing. Other than that, System Shock? Best console Microsoft ever put out? The original Xbox. Sony, please bring a Sly Cooper game to PS5, remake, reboot, something. If it does, it won't be from Sucker Punch. Not likely. I got the platinum on Elden Ring. That game's one of the best of all time. I have Elden Ring. I just haven't played it. If you do like... In fact, I have all the Elden Rings because, bought them for 8th. If you like King's Quest, the fan-made sequel is 100% free. I haven't really been that big on a point-and-click adventure game since I played the remaster of Day of the Tentacle. I love Day of the Tentacle. I had it on my IBM PC all the way back in the 90s. I thought that game was hilarious. I still think it's hilarious. I'm one trophy away from platining Borderlands 4, and it's the most grindy trophy in the game. I've got to get to level 50 with 2 more... Oh, I know. That's why I haven't bothered... I've platted Borderlands 1 and 2 and 3. I have the plat on all 3. I'm not bothering with Borderlands 4. I didn't bother with getting the platinum on Tiny Tina's Wonderland either. And I actually kind of liked that game. I'm good on video game movies until they can make good video games again. You're not wrong. I agree. Sly Cooper seems to be a great fit for a movie TV. Well, they made or were in the process of making a movie, and then the movie that they made of Heavenly Sword went straight to video because it was basically just the cut scenes put together. And the Ratchet and Clank movie didn't make any money at the box office either, and that's why we don't have the Sly Cooper movie. What's Bend and Bluepoint working on? I have no idea. Bluepoint was working on a multiplayer God of War game, but that got canceled. No idea what Ben's been working on. Yeah, Hollywood got screwed over by the whole modern audience crap too. That's why stuff like Nobody and Sisu and John Wick and all that, that's why that stuff makes money hand over fist. Because people aren't buying what the rest of Hollywood is selling. Oh my God, Day of the Tentacle. I haven't thought about that in a decade. Yeah, it's available on PSN, Xbox Live. It's on Steam. And it's one of the platinums that I earned when I was competing with Shady J when he told me that I would never be able to catch up to him with platinum trophies, and I did it in under a year. That was one of the plats that I earned. Stranger Things is trash. That's why I canceled my Netflix subscription the minute it was over with. I checked with 8th and I said, is there anything you watch on Netflix that makes it worth $30 a month to keep it? And he said, nope. And I said, me neither. So the minute the credits rolled on the last episode of Stranger Things, I'd logged in and canceled it. So now all I have is Disney Plus and Amazon Prime. Oh, and Crunchyroll. I've gotten rid of everything else. And we barely have any need for Crunchyroll because nowadays almost all anime is isekai crap. I'm a burger flipper trapped in another world and all that kind of bullshit. Do you still talk to Infinite? I haven't talked to Infinite Retro in a long time. Hi there, Smith. How's it going? Remember the original Super Mario Brothers movie, the original Final Fantasy movie? It's too risky. Well, I mean, no one was. The Final Fantasy movie was never going to be a hit because they didn't base it on any existing Final Fantasy storyline or characters. It was a brand new storyline, and they were just expecting, the sophistication then of their graphics to pull people in. Now, if Final Fantasy the movie had basically just been the story of Final Fantasy VII, it would have made $400 or $500 million at the box office, easy. But that's not what they did. Well, that's all they had to do. They could have done that with Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy IX. And it would have brought money in. But because they made this brand new story that had nothing to do with Final Fantasy, it flopped. As for the Mario Brothers movie, well, that's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. It's just not a good Mario movie. And anime's not nearly as good as it was, when I got into it. I mean, in the 90s, come on, man. Berserk, the original Bastard that was never finished, Neo Tokyo, and then of course in the 80s you had Akira and Vampire Hunter D, and just amazing anime, and now it's all isekai bullshit. Or stuff for, incel perverts to jack off to. That's all it is anymore. And that's one of the reasons why Forspoken sucked so much ass, because it was Western writers, or at least some of it was Western and some of it was Japanese, but it was trying to create an isekai for Western audiences, and that's why it flopped. Whatever happened to Digital Soul? Do you mean Digital Smoke? The Eurotrash guy? No idea. Red Dead Redemption show would be awesome. Well, yeah, but no, Hollywood doesn't like making westerns anymore. Look what happened to Kevin Costner, man. I mean, Yellowstone did all right, and the prequel to Yellowstone did all right, but doing western movies, Hollywood don't give a crap about doing that anymore. If we get western movies now, they're like low budget things, low budget indie films. Yes, I played Psychonauts 2. Where does it rank among PS4, PS5 Psychonauts 2 was pretty good. It was pretty good. I mean, if you liked the first one, you will like it. It's the best thing I could tell you. Yes, I've seen Chainsaw Man Res Arc movie. I didn't like it as much as other people gushed over it, but I enjoyed it. I'm very vanilla. Digimon is the most anime I've seen. My favorite anime is Berserk, even though the original 90s version just barely covered the first arc. You know, it didn't really get too far into the more supernatural element of it. The 2016 Berserk is awful, but the Golden Arc trilogy, the three movies they made out of the Golden Arc, good stuff. That'd be a good place for you to start, John. Is go to Amazon Prime and look for the Berserk Golden Arc and watch that. Then you'll start to understand the side of anime that I appreciate. Avatar is isekai for the wet, kind of, sort of. Do you recommend any newish isekai anime? I'm not a big fan of any of the isekai stuff. I like stuff like mostly I get into the more traditional shonen stuff like Black Clover, Fairy Tale. Uh, I can't remember the name of it, but there's Mashal. I think it's called Mashal. That one is hilarious because it's basically if you took Saitama from One Punch Man and stuck him in Harry Potter. He's a guy that lives in a world where everyone who is not born without magical ability is shunned, and he ends up getting enrolled in Hogwarts basically, but he has no magical ability. But he has spent his entire life exercising and pumping iron and training himself out in the woods. So he is so OP and superhuman in his strength and power that he does things that look like magic, but are really just him being basically Saitama from One Punch Man. So I really love Mashal. Mashal's funny as hell. Actually, there, John Kratz. There, I don't remember the name of it, but there's a new Western show out there. I can't remember what streaming service it's on. Maybe it was Netflix, and it's all women. All the main characters are women. So you have like a mining dynasty that's run by a woman, and she's competing with this other woman that's they're trying to run each other out of town and blah blah. And I never even watched a single episode of it because the whole concept of it just sounded stupid. I'm not a fan of westerns unless it's based on Wyatt Earp. Well, there's a lot of good westerns that aren't based on Wyatt Earp. Did that Rust movie ever come out? I think it went straight to video. How do you think Elden Ring movie would pan out? Wouldn't work. I'll check it out. Berserk Golden Arc, screenshotting this for later. Yeah. Yeah, Nate is right. Nate Lewis is right, John Kratz. Fists of the North Star is a good one too, but it's been remade multiple times. So, you know, the one in the mid 80s is okay, but they also have where they redone them in a set of movies. I have them over there. Those are really top notch too. Fist of the North Star. Avoid the live action movie. Avoid live action Fist of the North Star. It was made on a shoestring budget, and it's funny in a so bad it's good way, but still you want to avoid it if possible. Helsing is good. Yes, Helsing is good. One Punch Man season 3 is so bad. Absolutely, it's horrible. By the way, it is 7 o'clock. There have been 0 donations. There have been 0 new memberships. So we are currently $50 away from extending the show by 1 hour. Moving on. When it comes to Western legends, my favorite is Wyatt Earp. Except Wyatt Earp was not a legend. Wyatt Earp is real. The fight at the OK Corral is real. It's nothing legend about it. Landman is actually amazing. I haven't watched Landman. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I won't touch live action anime after the Dragon Ball movie review. Oh, God, the Dragon Ball live action. Oh. I don't even like Dragon Ball, but that, the movie was garbage. Most live action anime adaptations are. There's been a few good ones. Like, I liked the live action Japanese interpretation of Death Note. They made like a couple of TV movies made for TV that were actually pretty good. Better than that American Death Note movie that Netflix made. I will say this. I liked the first season of the live action One Piece. But again, I'm not a big fan of the anime of One Piece, so I went into it mostly blind. And I had a fun time with it. I thought it was good. I had a lot of fun with it. But not enough for me to continue paying $30 a month for Netflix. I may very well be getting rid of Disney Plus too. Because all Disney Plus is good for is being able to go back and watch the Marvel movies that don't suck and the Disney animated films that don't suck. And I'm just going to be buying those on 4K Blu-ray. So then once I have bought all of those, I will no longer need Disney Plus. And the only thing at that point, all I will keep is Amazon Prime. I think a TV series based on Infamous would work well. Yeah. As long as it was Cole McGrath. If they tried to do Delson Rowe, Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage was boring, at least when it comes to the sequel. I played Ken's Rage. I platted Ken's Rage on PS3. I did not plat the second one because they didn't release it physically. It was a digital-only release, and I didn't want to support it because it was digital-only, so I didn't. Now, Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, that was done by Sega instead of Tecmo Koei. And instead of being a Muso, being a what do you call it? Dynasty Warriors ripoff, it was made by the team that does the Yakuza games for Sega. And so it was basically a Yakuza game, but Fists of the North Star. And it's fun as hell. If you've never played it, you should go buy it for PS4 because you can get it on the cheap. And that one is a lot of fun. I never finished it. I got to the last level of it, and then I got pulled away to do something else, and I never went back and finished it. But it's fun. I liked it a lot. And it's hilarious. All the different moves that you can do to blow people up. You can learn all these new moves to make people explode. It's great. Did you finish Welcome to Derry? No. Once I found out that the plot was revolving around the U.S. military trying to capture Pennywise to turn him into a weapon, I canceled my HBO subscription. Screw them. Freaking stupid. Lost Paradise was a little bit mo better. You sound like Turtle from that old 87 movie, North Shore. Maybe you need to treat your friends mo better. Mo better. Hearing a lot of noise outside. No, you didn't. I forgot. You know what got delivered today? I splurged and bought me a new Blu-ray. Some of you won't be old enough to realize why I'm laughing. I got The Adventures of Ford Fairlane on Blu-ray today. It's broken. It's broken, Zuzu. It's broken. Here's to you, sucking my dick. Guys like you, they really do grow on trees. Booty time, across the USA. Booty time, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Lord. Yes, the military wants to use Pennywise as a weapon. So the whole plot is about them trying to capture Pennywise. It's stupid as shit. You can grab the text out of the air and use it as a melee weapon in Lost Paradise. Yes. People are asking me what's a Blu-ray like a VHS. It's not that old. No, that's like what, 2006? So it's Blu-ray is 20 years old. How crazy is that? Blu-ray is 20 years old. DVD is 30 years old. Well, almost. It started in what, 1997, I think? No, it started around 1996 or so, I think. No, it was 97 because that was the year I bought my first Blu-ray player. I mean DVD player. It was a single disc Magnavox. Cost $500. I remember I bought it at Sears at the mall. $500. 1997. So it's 29 years old. DVD. As a format. And Blu-ray is 20 years old this year. That's crazy. I am so old. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense trying to use Pennywise as a weapon, to be honest. I understand why you drive. Yeah, it was stupid. Couldn't finish it. He was like the first Vin Diesel. Blu-ray can almost buy alcohol legally. Yeah. Hey, 7th. I'm out 12 hours a day driving Uber and Lyft Monday through Saturday. Sometimes 12 a day Monday through Sunday. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Tell people you got it on Laserdisc to confuse them. Hey, you'll never guess what I got. You know that movie Dutch? That John Hughes movie that's not available on any streaming platform? I got it on 8-track. Speaking of Fist of the North Star, the ones who developed Ken's Rage should get off their ass and make another Samurai Warriors. Well, you know what game they put out that was pretty good, Soul Drift, was their Berserk Band of the Hawk game. That one was fun, especially if you're a fan of Berserk. Seventh, we're the same generation. You're not old yet. I turned 51. I'm kind of feeling old. Little bit. Little bit. I've been having pain in my knuckles and my fingers randomly twitching. I'm feeling my age. VHS is almost 50 years old. Yeah. Just watched the Console War movie. Have you seen it? Were you a Sega or a Nintendo kid during those times? I have a job, so I buy it all kid. You know, I had an NES. Then Genesis came out, and my best friend bought a Genesis, so I bought one too. And then the Super Nintendo came out, and I went and bought a Super Nintendo. I had everything. The only thing I didn't have originally was a TurboGrafx 16, but a kid that I was friends with loaned me his because he was bored with it, and so I might as well have owned one because it was sitting at my house for like 3 years. I'm 8 years behind you. Enjoy your 40s while they last. I didn't see a DVD player until 2001. I've always been an early adopter of new technology if it's something that really interested me. And all the way back to like when I was a teenager and I saw video games on compact disc for the first time. I was like, the next big thing is going to be movies on discs that big. Way before DVD was ever announced. I just knew that that's what the next big thing was going to be, and sure as the world. I couldn't wait for it. I couldn't wait to get rid of VHS. That was the thing that cracks, no offense, but there's people out there that love to collect VHS because they like to display them and pretend like they're walking into a video store and picking out. Not me. I hated VHS. I hated having to rewind them. I hated how fast they degraded. I hated the video quality of it. I could not stand VHS. I put up with it because it was the only format available, but I did not like it. I didn't like how much room it took up. So, when I found out about DVD, I saved up my money so that as soon as that thing was available, I went out and bought it. And one by one, as soon as it would come out, I would replace my VHS with the DVD equivalent, chuck the VHS to not half price books, McKay's used books. I took all my VHS tapes as I replaced them with the DVD and sold them to McKay's used books. And I don't regret it at all. You will never see me collecting VHS tapes. Never going to happen. But then again, you won't see me collecting empty cereal boxes either. Jay. Cereal boxes? Really? Do you have a Saturn? Yes, I have a Saturn, and my Polymega plays Saturn games. What's the best racing game in the genre? My favorite racing game, bar none, is Burnout Paradise. It's the only one that I will still sit down and play for any great length of time. And the closest thing to it on the market right now is The Crew game that came out, or Forza Horizon 5. But neither of them are as fun as Burnout Paradise was. Coke or Pepsi? Pepsi. Our first DVD was Planet of the Apes reboot. Ooh. Actually, I didn't mind that movie until the ending. Just wish video stores were still around, or at least more common and less rare. You can still find mom and pop ones here and there, very scattered. Not very common at all, though. Happy Meal boxes. Oh, yeah, I don't collect Happy Meal boxes neither. Or Happy Meal toys. Happy Meal toys almost always suck. The only decent ones were the Hot Wheels and the little transforming Chicken McNuggets and shit. I got a MetaQuest 3S on Facebook Marketplace for $125, and some of these games are blowing my mind. Yeah, VR games can be very good. Can be. You ever played Pepsi Man on PS1? Uh, I want to say I played a demo of it. I don't remember where, but yeah, I have no interest in owning it, but I have played it. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry boys, I'm gonna have to lean back for a little bit. Oh. Starting to get a little pain in the midsection there. And if you noticed, I still haven't completely dismantled my tree. So I have maintained my lazy fat effer reputation from episode 68. I am still a lazy fat effer. The tree is still up. It's not lit up, and most of the ornaments have been taken down, but it's still put up. Next year, I intend to buy, assuming the economy hasn't collapsed, I intend to buy a new Christmas tree. I'm going to get me an all solid white one. Imagine how that thing's going to glow with all that black light shining on it. Oh, it's going to be glorious and annoy the neighbors, because that's the only time that window is ever open, is when I have the tree lit up. So I'm going to throw open that window. I'm going to turn on that black light, and that thing's going to reflect all across the cul-de-sac. But hey, it ain't parking a pickup truck in front of somebody's house and blocking them from being able to get out of their own driveway. My first DVD was a beta DVD, Superman 1 and 2. I want to say I think my first DVD was Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. I think that was the very first DVD I ever bought. Thoughts on the Dreamcast? Love the Dreamcast. Wish my Polymega supported it, but it don't, because I have a great Dreamcast library. But Dreamcast wasn't all that great for 3D games because it only had one analog stick. So in that regard, to me, it was no better than the N64. But it had some great RPGs that didn't need two analog sticks, and it had some 2D action games that didn't need two analog sticks. So I still enjoyed the console. I have two of them. I have two Dreamcasts. One of them has stopped working. It won't read discs anymore. It boots up, you put the disc in, tries to read it, says it can't read it. So I have to get it fixed. But other than that, yeah. That was the one that Billy sold me. I told him about it. He said, well, it worked when I first brought it home. He hadn't bothered to check it and make sure it still worked before bringing it to Retropalooza and selling it to me. So I've got to find somebody to repair that. That or Mr. Mechanical Engineering upstairs. I might just give it to him and let him try to fix it. See if he can fix it. Growing up, sometimes video stores was sometimes my Friday night. I go to Hollywood Video and pick up a bucket of fried chicken. I get that, but I don't have any real nostalgia for going to the video store. Not really. Because I didn't like to rent. I liked to own. And so I would spend more time going to like Suncoast Video or going to Media Play than I did actually going to rental stores. Rental stores was mostly my dad. He would go to the video store and he'd rent him, old ass Western movies like Hondo and stuff like that. But once I learned how to connect two VCRs together to copy movies, he became an insatiable monster. He'd walk into a video store and he'd just be like, I want you to copy that one and that one and that one and that one. I'd be, Dad, shut up. And I want a copy of that one, and we'll have to buy a 6-hour tape to fit that one. And then, Dad, shut up. Thoughts on Trump capturing Maduro? Yeah, well, that's getting into politics. Don't really talk about that stuff. Put a boot on their tire at 3 a.m. Going to play the Onimusha when it is released? Do you mean the Onimusha remake? Eighth wants it. Eighth wants it. Holy moly, I forgot about local fried chicken spots. Another memory unlocked. We didn't have local fried chicken spots. We had KFC. That was it. When I was growing up, you had KFC, or you could go to the grocery store and they sold fried chicken in the deli, but that fried chicken sucked. So it was pretty much just KFC. Now I live in Texas and we have both KFC and Golden Chick, which is pretty much the same thing as KFC, but it has better sides. And don't get me wrong, I love me some fried chicken. You know, every now and again, my mom would make homemade fried chicken, but she didn't know how to do extra crispy. Let's put it that way. Hers was more like original recipe. You know, one of these days, me and Eighth are gonna find us a good fried chicken recipe, and we'll try making our own fried chicken. One of these days, we'll get around to trying it. But for the most part, if either of us get a craving for fried chicken nowadays, we just go to Golden Chick and get us a big bucket of it. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, so let's take a look at how the collection has grown. I have bought next to no NES games this year. I bought a handful, like 10 or 11, from Greg Honeycutt's game store back in the summer, and that's been all I've bought. So let's see. Currently, we have 204 PS5 games. Let's see here. Nintendo Switch, we currently only have 58 games. We do not have a Switch 2 yet. Nintendo, NES, we have... I thought we were up to 480, but I'm wrong. We're up to 470 NES games. 470. Let's see. PlayStation 4, 301. 301 PS4 games. We haven't really bought anything new for Xbox 360 this year, so it is still sitting... Xbox 360 is still sitting at 84. And of course, Xbox Series X, nothing. And Xbox One, just a little stack about that big. But yeah, we finally broke 200 physical games on PS5. I thought it was going to take a lot longer than that, but I started buying up a bunch of physical releases of indie games, and that's what's really boosted it up. What you see back behind me, like up here, that top row, that's just my PS5 games. The rest of them are upstairs in 8's game room. But between the two of us, we have a little over 200. We have like 204. Cooking with 7th videos? No. 7th, you stayed in Florida for a minute. Did you check out their chicken? If not, you missed out on good stuff. I had some Cuban chicken one time when I went down to the Cuban district in Tampa, down around Ybor City. This was back when Sega still had a big ass arcade down there, and yeah, I tried some Cuban chicken while I was down there. It was spicy, but it was good. I don't do spicy these days. I don't do spicy. Are you happy about the PS6 delay? I don't mind it. I don't mind. I'm perfectly happy with the performance of the PS5 Pro. It does everything that I want it to do, which is basically 60 frames per second. That was my main thing. I wanted consistent 60 frames per second. Still not getting it because some developers suck, but for the most part, I'm happy with it. I just found out there's going to be an Ace Combat 8. I can't play Ace Combat. I get motion sick, especially if you try to play it in VR. Holy hell! Fried chicken, French fries, mac and cheese, cornbread, cherry 7-Up, and pumpkin pie for dessert. Bring it over to my house, Soul Drift. Xbox has no damn games. You ain't wrong. For my Xbox Series X, I just got RoboCop Rogue City. I got it sitting on my PS5 shelf. There. It's right around in there. That one and the expansion that they put out. I got it physical too. Do you collect for any handhelds? Yes, I collect for handhelds, just not that much. That's mostly an 8 thing. Most of our handhelds are upstairs on display in 8's game room. So, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, PSP, PS Vita, Neo Geo Pocket Color. I don't have a Turbo Express, and I don't have an Atari Lynx. Would love to have them both, but just hasn't worked out. I have a Game Gear. I have several games for it. Publix chicken. Grocery store chicken, man. No. Not only does it not taste as good, I've seen how it's made. I've worked in the deli. You don't want it. Have you played Blood Refresh Supply? No, I've not. Has there been a physical release of it? 60 frames and a quiet console is all I wanted from PS5. And you got it, for the most part. Got it even more if you got the Pro. What did you try playing in VR? Mostly stuff for the PSVR. Mostly stuff for PSVR. I really liked the on-rail shooter that they did, the Unreal Until Dawn for PSVR. I really liked it. I haven't gotten to experience PSVR 2 at all because 8th bought it with his own money, and so it went straight to his room, and I never got to experience it. To this day, I haven't got to experience it, and he has the Valve Index, and I haven't had a chance to try it either. Because I respect 8th space. I try not to go up there unless I'm invited up there. Because once you get to his age, 22 going on 23, that was when I started itching to move out on my own. And so I know how that feels. And I didn't want him to have to experience that, but at the same time, I knew that he's not at the point financially where he could afford to live on his own. And so that was one of the things that I had in mind when I bought this place, was to buy a house that would eventually be his house, and I'm just living in it. So I crammed as much of my life as I could down here, and then the entire second floor is his. That's 3 bedrooms and his own game room and his own full bath. So he effectively has his own house upstairs, and I have an efficiency / duplex down here. My area is 1 bedroom and 1.5 baths, and his area is 3 bedrooms, his own full bath, and his own living room / game room. The only thing he doesn't have up there is his own kitchen, but he does have his own refrigerator, and he has his own microwave, so he might as well. Speaking of handheld, I wish Sony would remake Uncharted Golden Abyss. I don't know how well they could do that because of I guess they could with the DualSense, but I just don't think that they're in any rush to do that. Naughty Dog's having too many problems as it is, and God knows what Bend is working on. PS4, PS5, don't care. Okay. It's good you don't go upstairs or else you could fall down the steps and bust your hip. I'm not that bad off. I'm not that bad off. I do take my time going up the stairs, but it's not because of a bad hip or balance problems. It's, my atrial fib. I don't want to set my atrial fib off by trying to rush up the stairs too fast. And so, I just mosey on up the stairs. I don't get out of breath or anything. I just don't want to do anything that's like a sudden high rapid change in blood pressure because that can trigger my atrial fib. And it's the same thing with exercise. I mean, I don't do a whole lot of exercise, but when I do, I have to slowly build my way up. I can't just walk outside and start power walking down the street because it could set off my atrial fib. From father to father, you are the kind of father people like me wish to be. Well, I appreciate that, Nate. I appreciate it. He up there, he is my greatest accomplishment. Nothing that I ever do in my career or in my creative endeavors is ever going to even come close to being equal to him. Could Siphon Filter make a great movie? Yes, it could. Will it is another story entirely. I highly doubt that it will. But it could. But who am I to talk? I'm a guy that thinks that Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins is one of the greatest action movies ever made. I love it to death. So, there's no accounting for taste. I like schlocky stuff. One of my most recent pickups was the 4K remaster of Sword and the Sorcerer. Have you ever seen that? It actually beat Conan the Barbarian to the theater. And it's some true 80s B-movie fantasy schlock. Did I like Dino Crisis? It was okay, but I don't like For one thing, I'm not a big fan of survival horror, and I'm really not a fan of old survival horror that uses the tank controls. Did you see the new episodes of Fallout Season 2? I've only seen the first episode. I haven't watched new ones yet. Now, is season 3 of One Punch Man actually over? Because it's only been 10 episodes, and season 1 and season 2 had over 20 episodes. But I keep hearing people talk about season 3 like it's over. So I'm just curious about that. Hard to beat Conan the Barbarian when it was written and directed by John Milius. Well, actually, part of it was written by John Milius, and part of it was written by the guy that did JFK, Oliver North. Believe it or not. Why in the hell was season 3 of One Punch Man only 10 episodes? Is that all they had the money for? Is that... Man. But even... It's not just Oliver Stone. Yeah, Oliver Stone. Chainsaw Man, second season will be 10 episodes and another movie. The thing about One Punch Man, I loved this first season. But it wasn't just because of the animation. It was because of the story. The story has sucked ever since because there's only so much you can do with a character that kills everything with one punch. And so ever since season 1, it's all been about the side characters, and they come up with some reason to keep Saitama sidelined until the very last episode, and then he'll show up in the last 5 minutes of the last episode and one punch whatever it is that's messing with everybody, and then it's done. They did that with season 2, and now they've done it again with season 3. And it sucks. You know, they need to, the writer needs to come up with a better way of keeping Saitama involved in the plot instead of, oh, I heard a loud noise, I'm going to wander around in the sewers for 9 episodes. Stupid. He's just written himself into a corner. Well, it ain't the AKL. It ain't the standard with stuff like Black Clover. That one still gets 25, 26 episodes a season. And that's currently like my favorite ongoing anime is Black Clover. I love it. I realize that, you know, it borrows a lot from the style of Fairy Tail, but, you know, it's fun and it's funny. I like Asta's attitude. The questions are slowing down again. It's like when tonight first started, I was having trouble keeping up, and now y'all slowed down again. The OG creators of One Punch Man hasn't done it since season 1. The story is Saitama disciple death and he'll go ballistic. Yeah, I'm impatiently waiting for the new season of Black Clover. I'd love to have all of Black Clover on Blu-ray, but the cost of it would be ridiculous. Your brain is slowing down? Stayed up too late watching Jay's stream last night. Seventh, all them games, if you ever sold them, you'd be a millionaire. Also, you've collected all limited edition controllers for every system. Not even close, son. My collection, including all of the consoles, its book value is only $79,626. That's the book value. That's not what I would actually get if I sold it. I wouldn't even get half that if I sold it. The Eyes Without a Face. Somebody's a fan of Billy Idol. But yeah, I've been on a kick where I've been buying up old 80s movies on 4K. Which, not going to lie, I've been inspired by Billy's friend Rob to do that. His channel is called The Order 42. He inspired me to start collecting physical again because for a long time there I had stopped collecting physical where movies are concerned. But he kind of inspired me to get back into it. And so I've just been buying up a bunch of old stuff, and if they don't make it on 4K, I've been buying the Blu-ray. And if they don't make it on Blu-ray, I've been buying the DVD. And if it wasn't released on DVD in the States, then I've been importing the DVD. So just recently, like I said, I picked up The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, Popeye the Musical, the original Red Sonja, the new Red Sonja, which isn't as bad as people made it out to be. I actually enjoyed the new Red Sonja movie in a 80s fantasy kind of way. The Sword and the Sorcerer. I got Eighth, the remake of Poltergeist, the uncut version, which is actually way, way better than the theatrical release was. I got Eighth, Transformers the movie on 4K. I have it on Blu-ray. He has it on 4K. Uh, I ordered Dogma, Kevin Smith's Dogma on 4K, but it hasn't shown up yet. Poltergeist 2, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Ring. I wanted that John Hughes movie Dutch on Blu-ray, but they wanted $200 for it, so I just bought the the DVD instead. Uh, an old '80s horror movie called Nightmares, and Disney's never released their Tarzan on 4K, so I got the Blu-ray. Same thing with Hercules and Hunchback of Notre Dame. They haven't released either of those on 4K, so I got the Blu-rays. An old Christian Slater movie called Cuffs, got it on Blu-ray. An old comedy called My Demon Lover from the '80s, got it on Blu-ray. So the 4K of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, lick my plate, you dog dick. The Lost Boys, Terminator 1 and 2, 7. Yeah, this is going back months and months. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, The Big Lebowski, The Hidden on Blu-ray, which is a fantastic '80s sci-fi movie. Galaxy Quest, the new Superman on 4K, Beetlejuice in 4K, Reign of Fire on Blu-ray, the live-action Flintstones movie on Blu-ray, Nightmare Before Christmas on 4K, which was not released in the States, so I had to import it. Backdraft on 4K. 1984 version of Dune on 4K. The original Punisher with Dolph Lundgren, couldn't get it on Blu-ray, had to buy it on DVD and import it. It was the Malaysian version. I finally got Pump Up the Volume on Blu-ray. Was happy about that one. So yeah, I've just been buying up physical media. So this shelf right here, that's all of my 4K. And then this shelf right here is all of my Blu-ray. And then this shelf right here is all of my DVD stuff. So I'm slowly filling up that back shelf more with movies than games. So it's going to start getting, unless the economy takes a turn for the worse and I stop buying stuff, I'm going to start running out of space and going to end up having to buy more shelves. The problem is I don't know where down here I'm going to fit more shelves. I've pretty much used up all of the shelf space, where I'm going to end up having to put up shelves like in the back wall of the kitchen or going down the hallway or something, because there's not really room for them in my master bedroom. Well, I guess I could have fit a couple of them in there, but yeah. I got the old movie Death Wish in the background, and I wonder why they did not make a game for it. Probably because they didn't think anyone would remember it, even though they did make a game of the Warriors back on the PS2. And I'm sure they'd probably have a hard time getting the rights to the license from the estate of Charles Bronson. Might as well, with inflation, everything's going to be way more expensive in the future. Yeah. Did you like Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall? I played them on PC back in the day. I found out Friday is getting a new Blu-ray finally. I really hope the theatrical cut would be on it. Yeah, I love Friday. Friday's hilarious. Not so much the second and third one, but the first one is epic. Hi, False Reality. My favorite 80s horror is Fright Night. I have the sequel on Blu-ray. I don't have the original one yet, but I have the sequel. Unfortunately, to get the sequel, I had to import it from Spain, but it's in English. It's sitting back there on the shelf now. Do I have any autistic family members? I have some whose actions would convince me that they are, but I don't believe so. Not unless it's, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there. The seventh level buster. The Death Wish with Bruce Willis is pretty good. Death Wish 2, 3, and 4 became more of a reason to make a game. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not all, so far, I'm not tremendously enthused about anything that's been announced. There was a few games during the Game Awards where I was like, oh. I couldn't tell you what they are now, but there was a few that piqued my interest. I want that Marvel beat 'em up, that cosmic whatever, but I'm not going to get it until the physical comes out. I'll wait for the physical and get it. I still don't have the G.I. Joe beat 'em up because A, I heard it sucks, and B, they didn't release a physical of it. So that's why I don't own that one. I do need to hurry up and finish Grand Blue Fantasy Relink so I can uninstall it off my PS5. I own the physical, but it's up in 8th room, so I just downloaded it off of PSN. I got tired of waiting for him to bring it down here, so I just downloaded it off of PSN and played it that way. I still haven't played Tales of Arise for the same reason, because it's still up in 8th collection, so I haven't played it yet. Do you like those Knives Out movies? I don't know, because I haven't watched any of them. And now I've canceled Netflix, so I never will. Are you going to get KCD 2? KCD 2. What is KCD? I'm on the scale, but not too far. But I got family who are, and they are deep on the scale. Oh. Yeah, well, I'm not on the spectrum. 8's not on the spectrum. I think I might have a couple of distant cousins who are, but I'm not going to go into specifics, but just in case one of them happens to ever find this show, because most of my family don't know that I do this. Some of my family know, most of them don't. I got the G.I. Joe beat 'em up on a PSN sale for cheap. I heard it sucked. I heard it wasn't any good. Do you prefer run and guns or beat 'em ups? Beat 'em ups. Oh, Kingdom Come Deliverance. I don't have the first one or the second one. Main reason being that 8th didn't like them, so I just didn't bother to get them. And for me, I'm not that interested in them because they're not fantasy RPGs. I have no interest in a realistic medieval RPG. If it doesn't have fantastical elements where I'm fighting trolls and dragons and zombies and shit, I don't care about it. He didn't care about them, not because of that, but because he didn't like all the minutia that you had to go through, like having to remember to bathe and shave yourself and all this kind of stuff. He found it to be more of an annoyance than anything else, and so he didn't like it. Streets of Rage or Final Fight? Streets of Rage. It's just a better beat 'em up, objectively. Streets of Rage 3, however, is another story. I'm not a fan of Streets of Rage 3. Did not like that one at all. Streets of Rage 2, fantastic. Streets of Rage 4, fantastic. Streets of Rage 1, love it. Streets of Rage 3, Absalom is a new beat 'em up. I heard it's pretty good, more akin to Dragon's Crown. Dragon's Crown was good. I have it physical on PS3. I'll look into Absalom later. I'd heard the same thing from other sources, so you're not the first person to tell me that. Bathing and shaving? Damn, that's like having to take a dump in Ark. Never played Ark, so I wouldn't know. I'm not big into survival games. having to craft a domicile and having to go and hunt my own food and all that. That's the main reason I haven't gotten all that big into the Avatar game that came out a year or two ago. I mean, the first person combat and everything is fine, but having to hunt around and make my own food and crap, I hate that kind of stuff. I just want to run. I just wanted Far Cry in Avatar. I just wanted to run around and kill bases and do that kind of shit. And instead, I'm having to sit and you know go and collect stuff to make food and crap. And I just don't like it. It's not fun for me. So I put maybe 2 hours into that game and then I stopped playing it. Just wasn't doing it for me. No, sir. Wasn't doing it for me. Do you like pure horror games without survival stuff? Sometimes. Sometimes. It just depends. I mean, the closest I would get to a horror game with survival stuff would be the original System Shock. Because, you do have to, you have to collect weapons and you have to collect keys to find keys to do this and that. And I mean, you're not really having to craft food or anything, but you are having to, mind your inventory. And System Shock can be quite the horrific game if that kind of stuff actually affects you. Dinos are cool, huh? House of the Dead. Well, House of the Dead's just a rail shooter. I liked House of the Dead. I had it on Saturn and then I had it again on Dreamcast. I currently don't own it. I'd like to get a copy of it for Saturn at least, and then buy the light guns for the Polymega, and then I could sit here and pew pew pew. I don't even own a Super Scope 6 or a Menacer. But if I bought the light guns for the Polymega, I wouldn't need a Super Scope 6 or a Menacer because I could just play all my Genesis and Super Nintendo light gun games on here. Did you play Far Cry Primal? I have the plat in Far Cry Primal. No, I'm not looking forward to the new 007 game because according to the director, they have taken away James Bond's balls. He is no longer, the guy that hits on Moneypenny, then goes out and lays every female he comes in contact with, which is a core part of who James Bond is as a character. And so, at least, not so much in the books, but in the movies, that's what he's always been. And to me, that just takes half the fun out of him. I mean, half of the fun of the character is that he's a womanizing asshole. Why would you want to get rid of that? Because all that's going to do is make Bond fans not want to play it. Yeah, but I've heard the remake for House of the Dead sucks, Soul Drift. I've seen multiple reviews saying it's garbage. I don't know what a PlayStation Wand is. Whatever it is, I don't own one. I had the PlayStation Move, but I don't know what a PlayStation Wand is. I don't even have a camera for the PS5. Don't need one. Because I typically don't stream from PS5. I mostly stream from here. That was another thing. I had intended to do some retro streaming while I was on Christmas vacation, and that didn't happen neither. I just kept falling asleep. You wish Brosnan would come back and do voices for it? Seven's looking forward to God of War style minigames, huh? No, I just think that that's part of what makes the character humorous and interesting. Sounds kinky. That's what you meant, the PlayStation Move. I don't think you can use the Move with the PS5. I mean, I think you can use it with PSVR using adapter on PS5, but just regular games, I don't think PS5 recognizes the Move, does it? I think with PS5, you just move the DualSense. Or maybe it allows you to hold the DualSense sideways and shoot with the trigger. I don't know. I don't know. I just know there's not a dedicated light gun for PS5. Because let's face it, there's not that many light gun games that gets made nowadays. It's lost its appeal because of first-person shooters. First-person shooters more or less replaced railgun shooters. So now the only time you really see them at all is either a console re-release like that or in the arcade. Oh, back in the day. Okay. You're just having a hard time typing in general today, Soul Drift, aren't you? Just having some bad luck there. That's okay. Happens to all of us. No big sweat. No big sweat. Nope, 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 nope. My neck is giving me grief today, lads. No, sir, I don't like it. Check something real quick. Huh, okay. Oh, baby. I missed out on the sharpshooter to play Killzone 3. Okay. I'm watching two things at the same time, this and Death Wish. Okay. Yes, I know it has Charles Bronson in it. I know, trust me, I know. I am fully aware. Another thing I didn't do a tremendous amount of this year is I didn't watch that many Christmas movies. I usually watch at least one a day for the entirety of my vacation. I didn't do that this year. I watched Christmas Vacation, Elf, Home Alone 2, and Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey, and that's pretty much it. I didn't even watch Ernest Saves Christmas, and that's been a mainstay of mine for years. I just didn't do it this year. I don't know. I just didn't. Now that I think about it, I didn't do much of anything aside from sleep this whole 13 days. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I had to do this show, I'd probably be sleeping right now. Even though I'm not all that sleepy, I've just been had no motivation to do anything besides lean back in my recliner and fall asleep. I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, that's wrong. I did watch A Christmas Story. I watched it on Christmas morning. I forgot about that one. I forgot about that one. Rest and I don't know, John. I don't really feel rested or rejuvenated. Kind of dreading going back, logging back on for work Monday morning. I've been in this same position going on through. It'll be 3 years in April, I think. 3 years in April. I'm starting to feel ready to do something else. Not with a different company. I'm feeling ready to move up. At least it's not 27 degrees where you're at. Not wrong. Although it did get down in the high 20s earlier in the week. Well, anyway. One hour remaining. We have had 0 donations all night because people are out of money because it's post-Christmas. It is what it is. It is what it is. But y'all can at least do me a favor and I'll go watch the 12 new reviews that I did for y'all. Y'all can at least do that. Get me some views. Ohio is freezing. Well, it wouldn't surprise me because that's Ohio. I don't like cold weather. It's one of the reasons why I left Tennessee. Got tired of cold weather. Once in a blue moon, we still get cold weather here in Texas, but not for the most part. Not for the most part. And it was like 80-something degrees today. And I have no complaints. Yes, 35 is cold for Florida. You know, when I first moved to Florida, I didn't think it was possible to have cold weather. And so one weekend, not long, I just moved to Florida. My parents had bought me a Florida residence pass to Disney World. And so my first weekend, I was like, I'm driving down and I'm going to go to Disney World and use my new pass. So I booked me one night at the All-Star Sports. And I went driving down there, and I'm just glad that I brought my cycle jacket and a flannel shirt, because it was cold as hell. It was overcast, and had to have been down in the low 40s, at least. And I ended up catching cold while I was down there. I was miserable. El Paso is like the only place in Texas that's cold. I don't agree with that. They do regularly get snow and ice up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I mean, technically speaking, Dallas-Fort Worth is practically southern Oklahoma. It's kind of like how Jacksonville, Florida is like extreme South Georgia. You hardly see any palm trees. It's mostly pine trees and stuff. Barely even looks like you're in Florida. I loved Jacksonville. That was a fun town. I have no idea what it's like now. I haven't been there in years. I think the last time I was in Jacksonville was 2010. Was the last time I was in Jacksonville. I haven't lived there in over 20 years. But I loved it at the time. I thought it was great. That was probably some of the happiest years of my life was when I was living by myself down in Jacksonville. Had my apartment. I was like, a couple of blocks up the road from where I worked. I was 15 minutes to the beach, 15 minutes to all the best clubs. Had two malls within driving distance. Used game stores everywhere, and all of them knew me and gave me cool discounts. And movie theaters everywhere. Everything that I could possibly want was within a 15-minute drive. I had it made. It was great. Jacksonville, isn't that where Fest is held? Where all the modern day good punk bands play? Well, I will tell you this: in Jacksonville, uh, well, I started out in Jacksonville and then I moved to around Tampa. I moved to around Tampa when waifu was expecting eighth, and the IT market had kind of dried up in Jacksonville, so I had to move to Tampa to find IT work. But there was a club in Jacksonville. When I lived there, it was called Club 688 because that was the number of the street that the club was on. But not long before I moved to Jacksonville, the club had been called the Milk Bar and was where Limp Bizkit had been discovered. But they changed the name of it from the Milk Bar to Club 688. And that was actually where one of the few times that I got to see the Descendants live. Only it wasn't Descendants, it was All, so Milo wasn't there. But they were there for Punkorama 2000, so it was All, Straight Faced, Agnostic Front, and Voodoo Glow Skulls. And All went on first. I watched their set. I flashed my Descendants tattoo at Stefan, and he saw it up on the stage, came and got me when he got off stage. We all went out in the parking lot and hung out the rest of the night, didn't watch any of the other bands. I just hung out with all night. It was a blast. I'll never forget it. I got to sit and, talk with Bill Stevenson. I got to spend a lot of time with Carl. And Carl is a littler guy than I thought he'd be. I'm only 5'8", and he's shorter than me, which surprised me. It was that way. The only one that was taller than me was Stefan. Bill was about the same height as me, maybe an inch taller. But both their singer Chad and Carl were shorter than me by a couple of inches, which surprised me. But I loved it. I'll never forget it. It was the greatest live music thing that I've ever experienced. Just because, they took me out in the parking lot and just hung out with me. Carl shared his herb with me. Right in front of the cops. There was cops parked right in front of the club, and we're standing there leaning against their tour truck because it wasn't a van. They had taken like a moving truck and converted it into a living space. So you went up in the back of the truck, and it had like cots and a little thing for cooking food and a refrigerator and all this. And then they towed all their equipment in a tow behind. But we were leaning against the truck, and he was just, passing his herb to me, and and the cops are right there in view, didn't do nothing. Cops didn't say a word. I only went to Florida twice, first in 98. I was living there in 98, and second in 2001, mainly Orlando. I never lived in Orlando. I always wanted to, but at that time, there wasn't much of an IT presence there. And Disney didn't hire for IT. They did all their IT through contract at the time. I did end up working for Disney for 2 years, but it wasn't in Orlando. It was at their call center in Tampa. I don't know if they still have a call center or not, but they used to. It was on the north side of Tampa, a few blocks up the road from the Buccaneers Center. It was called the DRC, Disney Reservation Center. That's where I worked. You'd have made a great live bouncer. I don't know about that. Maybe. I got to hang out with Jeffrey Nothing at the Masquerade in Ybor, who was the lead singer for Mushroom Head. Cool. I did spend some time in Ybor City. Ybor City was a fun place. Yes, indeed. I don't go to see bands live much anymore, because the older I get, the less I want to be around other people. The last time I went to see anyone live was I saw Cobra and the Lotus, Def Leppard, and Kiss in 2014 at the Verizon Center, the Verizon Auditorium or whatever, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, Eighth has been to several since we moved here. He's seen Breaking Benjamin, and he's seen Dragon Force and some others. Descendants came to Austin, but we didn't go at the time because Eighth wasn't old enough to get into the club, and I wasn't going to go without him. So you worked right around the Dale Mabry area. I believe Dale Mabry was the road that it was on. If I'm not mistaken, Dale Mabry was the road that the call center was on. I mean, you wouldn't know it was Disney if you just drove past it, because it didn't have any Disney logos or anything on it. It was just a great big white building with a pond next to it. It was a great big one-story white building that had a screened-in porch area on the right side with a small pond. And yeah, I think they had a sign out front that said DRC, but it didn't say what it was. And I didn't live, my apartment wasn't that far from it. I lived in an apartment complex somewhere around that same area. I don't remember if it was on Dale Mabry, but it was around that same area. Last year I saw Bouncing Souls and the Pie Tasters, but I'm just too achy by the time it's done. For me, it's just you get in an area with that many people in it, and everything just smells like beer and BO, and it gets really hot and musky in there, and you're sweating your balls off, and I just don't like it. Saw Breaking Benjamin with Stained back in May. I don't remember who was with Breaking Benjamin when Eighth went to see him. He went to see him down in San Antonio.
It was Bush.
It was Bush. We've got Bush. It was Bush. That's who he went to see it with.
They sucked.
He says they sucked. Which doesn't at all surprise me. Now, another one that I saw back in the day, back in the 80s, me and some friends snuck off to see Whitesnake live. I can't remember who was with them, though. And back around 1996, I was still living in Chattanooga. And me and this girl that I was sweet on, but we never ended up dating. We were just friends. We went to see MXPX live at this crappy little teen club. I mean, I was old enough to drink at that point, but it was, they were a Christian band, so they were in this crappy little teen club, non-alcoholic teen club, in downtown Chattanooga, a few blocks from the aquarium. I mean, it was within walking distance of the aquarium, this little teen club. And It didn't even have. It had a very small raised stage, and it didn't even have real tables to sit at. It had these giant spools that they use for storing steel cabling. All the tables were these giant steel cable spools with folding chairs, and they sold like juice and coffee and tea and stuff at the bar, and that's all it was. And there was maybe 50 or 60 kids that showed up and crammed themselves into this tiny ass little club. And so, yeah, this was before anyone knew who MXPX was. I did because, I was still listening to a lot of Christian music at that point. And so I knew who they were. I was listening. I had already discovered them and Value Pack and all these other bands. I know the area. There's a Raymond James Stadium along with Best Buy and Home. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There used to be a Toys R Us there. Yep, we shopped at that Toys R Us quite a bit back in the day. And of course, when you get on that main thoroughfare headed down towards the Raymond James Stadium, you can hang a left onto Bush Boulevard, and that takes you straight to Busch Gardens. I would like to visit Chattanooga one day, specifically the battlefield. Recently found out a lot of my ancestors fought there and at Chickamauga. Well, there's battlefields all over Chattanooga. The Chickamauga battlefield is the biggest one, which is technically across the state line into Georgia, uh, which that one also has a famous haunting. I think they call it Old Red Eye. There's supposed to be a ghost there that has red eyes, and there's a watchtower there that at one point they had blocked people from being able to walk all the way up to the top of the inside of the watchtower because idiots were going up there and throwing themselves off to kill themselves. Uh, and then probably the most visually appealing one is the Lookout Mountain battlefield on Lookout Mountain because you could see all of downtown Chattanooga lit up from up there. And that battlefield, the Lookout Mountain battlefield, is actually where the climax of Neil Gaiman's book American Gods takes place. It takes place on the Chattanooga, the Lookout Mountain battlefield, and I think there's even some mention of Rock City up there too. Chattanooga, one of the parts of Tennessee that was pro-Union during the Civil War. That's where I grew up, home of the choo-choo. I didn't actually live in Chattanooga proper. I lived in one of the surrounding small towns around Chattanooga, maybe 35-minute drive from downtown, and a little wide spot in the road called Harrison. I lived in Harrison, Tennessee. I mean, it wasn't god awful, but for someone who was into IT and stuff, there wasn't much of a career there, and I'd never, we didn't have a theme park. All we had was like a little local amusement park called Lake Winnipesaukee that was across the state line in Rossville, Georgia. We had the Tennessee Aquarium and all that, but that didn't get built till I was a teenager. So all there really was to do there was go shopping and fishing and swimming, and that's, of course, you could only do that during the summertime because it get cold during the winter. Especially in '93. In '93, we had that blizzard. We had like 2.5 feet of snow on the ground. All of us lost our power, and it just so happened that my dad had all sorts of Coleman hunting equipment that all ran off of gas, and so we just had all the windows and doors open, and we were all camping out in the kitchen, keeping warm in front of a kerosene heater. That was a fun several days. That was fun. But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to do in Chattanooga but shop and whatnot. And of course, all of the touristy stuff I'd already seen 1,000 times because I lived there, and there wasn't much in the way of a career IT wise, and I just couldn't see myself living my whole life in Chattanooga. And so the first opportunity that I had to leave, I left. I believe so, AOT. I remember it happened early 1993. That was my senior year. And my neighborhood was on a hill. And my street was the street on at the bottom of said hill. So there was no getting out of the neighborhood because none of the cars could make it up the hill. The snow and ice. It was like 2.5 feet of snow with several, a couple inches of ice underneath it. And I remember even when they got our power back on, we were going out there. We were going out there with water hoses and spraying the street to keep it frozen so the buses couldn't run and we could stay out of school for longer. So here me and my friends are like spraying the street with water and then grabbing sheets of ice off of the top of the snow and throwing them on top of that water to refreeze the streets so the buses couldn't make it down there. We were stupid like that. Only battlefield I've been to so far in Tennessee is Parker's Crossroads in Memphis. I never went to Memphis. Never went to Memphis. I've been to Nashville, Knoxville, all over the middle of Tennessee where there's nothing. But I never went all the way over to Memphis. Never went to see Graceland because my dad told me at an early age, don't ever go to Memphis. It's a crime-ridden shithole. So I stayed away from it. And what had happened? What happened? Billy and Jay and their friends stopped by Sun Records for 20 minutes, and what happened? Their rental car got broken into, and all of their shit stolen because it's Memphis. You can't park a car in Memphis and expect to still have all your stuff because it's just a crime-ridden shithole. Athens, Tennessee has an interesting history, mainly referring to the Battle of Athens in 1946, where a group of armed veterans challenged a corrupt sheriff. Yeah. I saw a documentary about that storm in middle school. Part of it was some college students trapped in the mountains in East Tennessee and the Pittsburgh St. Patrick's Day Parade. Yeah. It was a rough one. I ain't gonna lie. It was rough. I almost got frostbite because, me and my dumbass friends went out and played in it. There was enough snow where we built 2 large forts in the street out of snow and ice on either side of my friend Tom's house. So right in the middle of the street, we built a fort there and then went down to the other end of Tom's house and built another one identical to it. And so we were staring at each other, throwing snowballs at each other with on either side of these ice forts that we built. And of course, it took hours to do that. And so before we could even do snowballs, we had to finish up and then go back inside and have the actual snowball fight the next day. Because if we had stayed out there any longer after building those forts, we would have gotten frostbite. We were stupid, man. But yeah, it wasn't fun because, we had no electricity. We had no running water. So we were all, taking a piss and a shit in a bucket. Oh, it was fun. Oh. Luckily, I had lots and lots of books And so I spent most of it uh, wrapped up in multiple layers of clothing and a blanket reading books. And then every so often, I'd throw on my boots and multiple jackets and go outside and be a moron in the snow. Now on foot, I made it halfway up the hill before I started to slide down the hill. I made it about halfway up on foot. It wouldn't have been possible on car. That was the worst snow I've ever been in. Had like 8-foot snow drifts on the side of the house. It was bad. It was bad. We've got about 30 minutes left. We've had 0 donations. Yeah, Melvor's 3DS, yeah. Jack Move Johnny is always talking about how bad it is there. Well, he's not wrong. Only thing in Memphis I ever did was go to the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid. I've been in a Bass Pro Shop, but I haven't been in that one. I've been in the one in Concord, North Carolina, up the street from the NASCAR track, and I've been to one. I think it was around Sevierville or Gatlinburg, and I've been to one in Florida. I haven't been to one in Texas yet. Before turning 16, we used to treat the snow like a game of Stalingrad or Battle of the Bulge. My backyard has a hill, and it was a struggle to walk up it to sled. One of the houses that me and Eighth went to look at before we moved into this one, it was, unlike this house, it was a brand new house. It had just been built, never been lived in. But we went out to the backyard, and the backyard was a downward slope. And we knew, just from looking at it, that every time it rained, we were going to have water pouring downhill from the house above us, and it was going to be a constant, washed out backyard problem, not to mention flooding and mud issues. And so we were like, nope, not this one. It was a nice house. One other weird thing about it is it had a half bath in the front of the house with a window that looked right out on the front yard. So you could walk to the front door, hang a right, go into this half bath, sit down on the toilet, and be looking out at the front yard. So if you didn't forget to close the blinds, people could walk up and see you taking a shit right in the front of the house. And I'm like, what the hell? Why would you put a bathroom there? Or at least, why would you put a window there? Weird as shit. Weird as shit. This house was 17 years old. So we figured, or at least I figured, that everything that could have gone wrong with the house would have already gone wrong for the most part. And that's been mostly true. The foundation is good. It's already settled. There ain't anything that's going to happen with the foundation. The only problem we had is the water heater blew up, and we had to replace the water heater. But other than that, we've been all right. Eventually, I want to get the siding replaced and get vinyl siding out there. Well, hello to you too. He saw the 8th squatch in his natural habitat as he made it up the hill. Which state pork barbecue is your favorite? I'm partially magic powers, partial to North Carolina style. I like Texas so far. I've had Tennessee, I've had Georgia, I've had Florida, I've had North Carolina, South Carolina, I've had Texas, and so far Texas has been my favorite. The part of Ohio where I live, it takes weeks to flood places, but in December 2004, we got 2 feet of snow, which would melt later on to get the same amount of rain to flood some of the streets. We got a little bit of flooding here recently, uh, where there was puddles out in the yard and water flowing on top of the street because we don't have storm drains here in this neighborhood. But my house is up on a hill, a small hill, and so the rain. If it pools in my yard, it's either going to go downhill into the neighbor's yard or it's going to go downhill out on the street. You'd have to have 6 feet of water before it even make it to our foundation. So 6, 7 feet of water it'd have to be. So we're not considered what's a flood zone because on top of that we live right up the road. Well, not right up the road, but a ways up the road from this big ass dam. And if things start to flood, they just let some of the water out, and it just Texas has good steak, and I don't mean the steakhouses. Yeah, Texas has good steak. Midwest has good barbecue. Well, I haven't gone to most of the Midwestern states. Texas is it. I haven't been to Kansas, Ohio, any of that. Texas is as far west as I've been. Louisville, Kentucky is as far north as I've been, and the Keys are the farthest south I've ever been. So going to the Keys was fun. I had fun going to the Keys. That was a fun trip. Just went there for the day. It was me and my wife at the time, and my mom and my dad, and we went down to the Keys for the day. And just walked around. It was neat. It was neat. Lots of cool touristy places to go around and just hang out in Florida. I miss Panama City of the 80s. Panama City in the 80s was so fun because it was a pure-on tourist trap, and now it's just a haven for vacation homes and condos and stuff. So it's the only touristy thing they have left there is Shipwreck Island Water Park. Everything else is kind of gone. But Panama City in the 80s was awesome. You could just walk down the strip and it seemed like every other building was an arcade. And so, you had 50 different places where you could play video games and skee ball. And, college girls walking around in bikini tops with sundresses. The smell of cocoa butter thick in the air, mixed with teen spirit. Just hot girls everywhere, walking around with hardly anything on the street. Even when you go to Miracle Strip Amusement Park, they'd be walking around in bikini tops. They'd be walking around in bikinis with just a little sun skirt tied around their waist. It was amazing. Still one of my favorite arcades of all time was at the Miracle Strip Amusement Park. I just loved that. It wasn't all that big an arcade. I just loved it. Had one of the best prize counters I'd ever seen. It wasn't a big amusement park. It wasn't even as big as Lake Winnipesaukee where I grew up. Had a lot of the same rides as Lake Winnie, but it wasn't as big. But part of the only reason that Lake Winnie is bigger is because the park itself wraps around a lake, whereas Miracle Strip did not have a lake in it or any kind of body of water. So it was just this long rectangular plot of land, and they crammed as many carnival rides into it as they could fit. I loved it though. I loved it. So fun. So fun because we would just literally come out of our hotel and walk across the main strip to Miracle Strip, and we'd buy wristbands that last us the whole week we were there. So we just walk right in, and no parents, just me and my cousins walking around, riding rides, playing video games. messing around with girls. It was a trip. It was a trip. And now all of it's gone. All of it's gone. Where Miracle Strip was is now a Walmart parking lot. Uh, Shipwreck Island, the water park is still there, but some of the best parts of it they tore down and turned into the kiddie area. A lot of the cool themed restaurants they used to have are gone. There used to be another amusement park there that was called Petticoat Junction. It was actually based on an old TV show from like the late 50s, early 60s. And it had some cool rides. It had a really cool roller coaster. It had a dark ride that was called Arabian Nights or Aladdin's Carpet or something like that. And it was a dark ride that was made to look like you were sitting on a magic carpet that was suspended from cables. And so it would like carry you around inside the ride. And I mean, it wasn't Disney quality or anything, but I'd never seen anything quite like it before or since. It was a cool ride. But all that was torn down in the 80s. And then Miracle Strip got torn down, I think, in like 2002 or 2004. It was right around when that hurricane hit the Panhandle real bad. And I miss it. I miss it. There was a unique architecture to that park, because even though all of it was just regular old plain Jane Carnival rides, they would build these buildings around them and encase the rides. So the roller coaster was outdoors, and the swinging pirate ship was outdoors. But a lot of them were indoors. So their version of the Scrambler was in a giant igloo with a plaster Yeti standing in front of it. You had to walk between his legs to get in it, and they called the ride the Abominable Snowman. Then you had, if you've ever been to Busch Gardens in Tampa, they had a version of the Crazy Camel there, but again, it was indoors with a giant devil's mouth that you had to walk through to get into it. That was called Dante's Inferno, and inside these big domes would have all these flashing lights and rock music. So you'd sit there spinning around in circles with lights flashing at you with all this rock music going on. It's a great place to get high. But most of their rides were like that. They were like encased in these big domes with all this cool theming. It was really, really neat. Some people have asked me if I'm from the South or Canada. I guess that accent that Congressman Jim Jordan has is sort of what I have. Oh wow, Petticoat Junction, the original MCU, the Beverly Hillbillies, Petticoat Junction, and that other adjoined show. Green Acres. I was about to say Green Acres, yeah. But yeah, look it up, John. It was, I think they tore it down in 1981 or 82, but it was called Petticoat Junction in Panama City Beach. There's hardly any video of it, but there's a lot of still shots of it out there. Now, Miracle Strip Amusement Park, you can look it up on YouTube, and there's actual video of people walking around in it. But damn it, no one ever bothered to film the inside of the arcade. People just walked around the outside of the building. They never walked in it, which irritates me to no end. I've searched high and low. There is no footage recorded of the inside of that arcade. That irritates me. But then again, I haven't been able to find any, maybe a couple of small clips. But for the most part, I haven't been able to find any footage of the inside of the Fiesta Fun Center that used to be on the ground floor of the Contemporary at Disney World either. And that was a great arcade. People just didn't film arcades back then, I guess. I don't know. Kings Island was nice, but they put height restrictions on all my favorite rides. First time I streamed with Clock Ninja, he asked if I was from Austin. You streamed with a Clock Ninja? Jesus. Hey, QB. I'm behind. My favorite chicken spot is the hot food section at Walmart. You get 24-piece boneless wings for $12. Okay. Hasn't happened to me, but I'd be offended if someone asked if I'm a Canuck. Eh? Take off, you hoser. I am your father, Luke. Given to the dark side of the Force, you knob. He's guilty and I'm a witness. Police! We got about 20 minutes, folks. 20 minutes and we've had 0 donations. This is the post-Christmas drip. All the money's been spent on, toys and booze. Oh, $7 from Dark Star Angel. Late to the stream. I was eating with friends at Korean barbecue. Do you still have that megaphone? Yeah, it's out in the garage. It's out in the garage. I use it when I do my haunted garage thing for Halloween. Me and Glock played Mag once back in the day and asked if I was from Austin. Okay. Been to South Dakota many times, so sometimes I talk like them. I have your typical Tennessee accent, which, depending on what part of Texas you're in, can sometimes easily be mistaken for a Central Texas accent, but it's not. It's your typical Tennessee accent, although it's not as thick as it was when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I let the drawl hang out quite a bit more than I do now. When I moved to Florida, I made a concerted effort to not talk with a Southern accent as much as I had before. I made the attempt to not be that Southern. Unless you got the alcohol in me, and then some more of the Southern start to come out. But for the most part, it's just your typical Tennessee hillbilly accent. Use the megaphone on the neighbors. I might have to. Yes, the megaphone still works. What's the closest action figure that you can grab? The only action figure I have around me is my Captain Caveman Funko Pop that I keep at my desk that Stranded J got me. Like I said, it's one of the only Funkos that I personally own. Oh, and then I've got this little Funko thing that's a little miniature Tron arcade cabinet with a little Tron guy inside it. Because I'm a sucker for Tron merch. People of my grandparents' generation pronounce wash as wash. Yeah, my mom pronounced wash that way. The washing machine. Yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin is East Texas for sure, which is a little like Louisiana. They have heavy emphasis on their O's, like in a Minnesota accent. From Enemy TV, what's up, 7th? I supported your 12 days of... Thank you. Appreciate you watching. You can thank the corn industry for Hollywood's adoption to DVD. What? Corn? Did you mean something else? You're not talking about on the cob. Well, actually, you might be. Ooh, Maybe that's what Vikings brought with them when they immigrated there and had kids with that. I don't know. I'm not too big on entomology or any of that. So I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, yes, yes. QB. Yeah. All right. Well, we have 15 minutes left, and we are $43 short from extending by 1 hour. So I don't think it's going to happen tonight. Happy New Year, Dark Star. Appreciate you. Appreciate your loyalty, good sir. People that eat corn the long way. Yes, with extra butter. Ugh, Lord. I wouldn't know. I've never been to Minnesota. I'm not in any rush to go there in case you were unaware. Did you see the fan made Banjo Kazooie game on Dreams? I've seen footage of it, I haven't played it. Have y'all seen about those 300 gigs worth of mods that have been made for Starfield that turned it into a Star Wars game? Like replaces every NPC, every quest, every character. Everything's been completely redone to make it Star Wars. I haven't done it, but that's all I've been hearing about all weekend. What are your thoughts on 2025 in total? Good, bad, horrible? Horrible year. Couldn't wait for it to be over. Couldn't wait for it to be over. There's bad things happening left and right. And who knows? Maybe 2026 will be better, maybe it won't. That's the way it is every January. I've been rewatching the classic Blackbuster critic Sonic Brain Farts, and I watched the one with that one guy who sang the Banjo Kazooie music in his horrible voice. I haven't watched any of those in years. And most of BBC's social media output these days are all about his new babies. He had like a couple of new babies, and so it's all of his social media is just pictures of babies. My dad had surgery in 2025, then was on chemo for a few months. Now he's okay. Well, glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. How is Eighth doing? He's doing all right. He's doing his school thing. He just walked past a little while ago. You saw his vague Sasquatchian form creeping up the stairs earlier. Sasquatchian in frame, not in height, of course, because I'm 5'8". How tall was Eighth possibly going to be? I would imagine he's up there playing a game right now with his headphones on. Had my great uncle's funeral just before Thanksgiving. He was 93. I had some people in my family that lived to be that old, but most of the men in my family make it to about 62 and then they're done. Well, Soul Drift, I'm sure he didn't do it on purpose. I'm 5'8.5" and 5'9" if I'm wearing boots, and eighth is 5'6". He's a couple inches shorter than me. His mom was 5'4", so he was not destined for the NBA. What am I currently playing? Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, but I'm almost done with it. What's the next game that's coming out that you're interested in playing? The physical version of Marvel Cosmic whatever. Will you play Half-Life 3 if it comes out? Of course. Of course. Nine minutes left, folks. 9 minutes left, $43 short. Everybody gave all their money to Jay last night. High hopes for 2026. I'm hoping to get promoted. Get another promotion under my belt. Maybe actually make it to 6 figures base salary. Because I ain't there yet. I'm close, but I ain't there yet. My parents are about 5'7/8, and me and my brother got to be over 6 feet. Well, I mean, I had an uncle who was 6 feet, and my great grandfather on my father's side was over 6 feet. But that's about it. Everyone else has been like 5'10" and under. How do you think it will end? What, 2026? Hopefully in the rapture. So I don't have to deal with this stuff no more. Ever played Half-Life Blue Shift? I don't believe so, no. That was a mod, right? Haven't played it. Just played the base games. I haven't played any of the fan-made stuff. How will Half-Life 3 win? Win what? My mom is 4'11" and my dad was 5'9" and a half. My brother's 5'11" and my sister's 5'7". I'm 5'9". Dad's side just got really good genes. I guess so. No, I don't have a Switch 2 yet. My dad was 5'9" and my mom was 5'2". How do I think Half-Life 3 will end? I have no idea. I haven't even played Half-Life Alyx yet. 8 has. I haven't. Five minutes left, folks. 5 minutes left. $43 short. Blue Shift was a DLC. Oh, okay. Yeah, I never played any of the DLC. All I ever played was the base game. Have you played Connecticut? I don't believe so. Doesn't sound familiar. Is Half-Life 3 confirmed? Of course not. I'm the tallest by blood in my family. My uncle by marriage has a few centimeters more than me. Yeah. I usually don't notice height discrepancy between me and other people that much, unless it just becomes overwhelmingly obvious, like with Billy or his cousin Chris. Then I'm like, Damn. Crane my neck to talk to him, you know. Yeah, no, AKL Max. I don't believe I've ever played Connecticut. Oh, oh, my knuckles. Oh, I've had all I could stand. Here, have a closer look. Stupid little thing. But it had Tron written on it, so I just had to have it. There's Tron and Sark on the side there. Costs way more than it's worth being a. When I bought it on Amazon, and then of course it got here, and I saw how small it actually was. I'm like, what the fuck? I was very disappointed. I still kept it though because it's Tron. Oh man. There's one I wish they had re-release on PS5 is Tron 2.0, the first-person shooter. I'd love to play that again. I have it on original Xbox, well, at least the console version of it. But the PC version is where it's at. But I wish they'd re-release that on PS5. I'd play that. Yeah. My grandma loved the genealogy project I made her for Christmas. She made copies and sent it to her cousins. Yeah, my family tree is all weird. I mean, Tennessee. I don't think there's a whole lot of inbreeding in there. There's like a couple of like second cousin twice removed type thing. No first cousins, but you know, some of my family tree has been hard. You know, I tried doing that ancestry.com thing years and years ago, and the problem was, you know, they traced my mom's family all the way back past Civil War, but they could only trace my father's family as far back as when they first arrived from Scotland, which was just after the Civil War. And so, you know, don't have a whole lot of my father's history. Not too far, honestly, not too far past my great grandfather. Magic powers. 2 minute warning, folks. 2 minute warning. England, Scotland, Ireland, and Germany. My mother's family came from Louisiana, what they called back then Black French, which is basically the same thing as Cajun. My dad's family was from Scotland. Oh, there you go. That's what went into the creation of me. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I did have a relative on my mother's side uh, who fought for the Confederacy, but it wasn't voluntarily. He was conscripted, in other words, basically drafted against his will to fight. And so we had all these letters that he had written to home, uh, complaining about how he didn't have anything against the people he was fighting against, and he just wanted to go back home. We didn't. We None of my ancestors were slave owners or anything like that, and most of my family on either side, either the Civil War on my father's side was already over with, or on my mother's side did their damnedest to stay out of it. Didn't want anything to do with it, because my family was, on my mom's side were like poor dirt farmers. Basically, they didn't have the money for running a plantation, having slaves working the cotton or any of that kind of stuff. They were the epitome of hillbilly white trash. So yeah, for all we know, you could have Italian in your heritage. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. I mean, anything's possible, but I kind of doubt it. And I just haven't had the money or the willingness to go to do the whole 23andMe thing. I just don't care enough. Thanks for streaming, Seventh. Good to see you. Sorry for being quiet. Work is slammed. It's all right, man. It's fine. As long as you had fun, that's all that matters. My great grandfather's family were Quakers who left North Carolina for Indiana before the Civil War. Just white with a little bit of native. Now, I forgot about that. On my mother's side, one of my great 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 grandmothers or something was a Cherokee. But yeah, that's about it as far as that goes. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. We're $43 short of extending the show, so this is where I'm going to have to leave y'all. I've had fun tonight. Be thinking of what all you want to ask and talk about next week, and I will endeavor to see you then.